We're glad to have you back in front of the Ways and Means Committee to discuss some of the things the administration's done over the past year to actually implement a true American first policy that places American producers and manufacturers at the center of his agenda. From the very beginning of each of President Trump's 2 terms, he stood up for American workers and American businesses with all of the different trade policies that you're working to implement. We know that American products can compete fairly in global markets. When they do, we succeed. There's no better example of that than in my district, the 4th District of Kansas, what we affectionately call the air capital of the world. Nearly every single airplane on the planet contains at least one component made in Kansas. And the United States is a global leader in aerospace manufacturing. According to the Aerospace Industries Association, the aerospace and defense industry exported over $135 billion worth of goods and had a net trade surplus of $74.5 billion in 2023. For over 70 years, the aviation sector sustained a trade surplus, fueling economic growth. Free and fair trade agreements like the 1979 agreement on trade in civil aviation empower our aerospace leaders to set the standard for innovation, safety, and reliability, all the while growing our economy. To maintain America's competitive position, we must continue building on items like the 1979 agreement's success. Same can be said for USMCA. Since it came into force during the first Trump administration, trade with our partners to the north and south have greatly expanded. In 2025, Kansas sent $3.8 billion in goods to Mexico and $2.3 billion to Canada, both of which are significant increases from pre-seat to USMCA. But the agreement's not without some issues, some of which have been addressed and others that are still needing to be resolved. The upcoming review on the agreement is an opportunity to improve and grow our trading relationships with our 2 largest export destinations. I look forward to USTR's further engagement with the committee to review this agreement and address outstanding issues while maintaining the beneficial framework of the agreement, including the 0 for 0 framework for aircraft and aircraft parts. Additionally, I want to commend USTR's work in securing commitments to prevent digital services taxes on U.S. companies in many of the trade frameworks that you've worked on over the past year. I've been a vocal opponent of DSTs as a revenue grab by foreign nationals, targeting American businesses and innovators. And as more countries consider these discriminatory taxes and other novel approaches like Canada's Online Streaming Act to raid the U.S. tax base, I know your team at USTR will continue to be proactive in identifying them and using tools, including Section 301, to defend American interests. USTR's previously identified the digital services taxes as one of the most discriminated policies that other countries are pursuing against American companies. Would you give us an update on where some of the negotiations are with some of these other countries on rolling back the existing DSTs and preventing additional countries from pursuing them?
Yes, certainly. Just one example, I had the trade minister of Poland in my office about a week ago, and there has been a proposal in Poland to establish a digital services tax. And I actually pulled out a copy of the report on the French digital services tax from the first term that resulted in tariffs on France, and I showed it to him, and I said, I really don't want to be in a situation where I have to put out a report that says Poland here instead of France, and I think he received the message. So we're watching that very closely. It hasn't come into place. With Canada, they implemented it immediately. We worked with them to get it down, and they just repealed that a few weeks ago. So we are seeing progress on this front. We're working with our European partners right now on this. We know that the Turks have this as well. These are things where they know we have strong concerns. They know we have 301s available to us as well.
Yeah, well, thank you. And as I mentioned, we call our Wichita, the air capital of the world. Obviously, aviation's a big, important footprint here. Can you share some of the ideas that the administration is looking at to help strengthen the 1979 agreement on trade with civil aviation to help maintain U.S. leadership in that critical trade sector?
Well, I mean, first of all, we want to make sure that we have entire manufacturing ecosystems. And so a lot of the manufacturing we're seeing now is due to the president's trade policy, and people know if they build here that it's going to be protected from foreign unfair trading practices and subsidized goods coming in from overseas. So that's part of it. We also know that there are supply chains established for the aircraft industry that the president has taken into account in his determinations.
Obviously, some of those things that have built up over time, we've got to correct that imbalance as it's developed over decades. And I appreciate the work that you're doing in that regard. So I'll yield back.